Smart. Okay, so she's giving you 3 things there. Now you can create intervention with the client where she values independent strength and brains so that she can start working towards those. So if God forbid her beauty ever goes away, she still has these ugly things. Because beauty fades. Look, I'm in a major crisis right now with how hideous I look.
You look good.
Because I was pretty.
With the new beauty.
I was pretty.
I know, right?
I had long hair, I was thinner, I felt prettier. My looks to me are gone. So what else do I have to hold on to? I have to have some other worth other than beauty.
Like, I always have this issue with my boyfriend. Like, I don't know, I always tend to tell him, I'm not pretty, I'm so ugly. And he always tells me, he's like, I don't understand why you say that about yourself. Like, you're not ugly. And I know I'm not ugly. It's just like, you just want to hear it.
Confirmation.
From
She
another
wants to be
person.
reinforced, just like she wanted to be reinforced, probably my mom, when Niece was born. Gabby's pretty, but Mija, you're my baby and you're the prettiest girl that was ever born on the earth.
Like, siempre nos comparaban. They were like,
Of
oh,
course.
Gabby was a cuter baby than Shayla, or
Okay.
era más tranquila, or she's smarter, and
Absolutely, competition will destroy a person. It will destroy. I have twins, and I remember that my ex-husband and my mother, the twins were like 3 months old. We're talking one day, ridiculousness, about how one of the boys was going to be a better talker than the other. He was going to be better at languages. And I come out of there and I said, first of all, enough with the comparative. In front of me, these happen to be 2 individual people that just share a fucking birthday. So enough with the comparison. On top of the fact that how ridiculous, that goo goo gaga, you're gonna know that one's gonna be more linguistic than the other. But imagine twins that are in a comparative relationship. Siblings have that. That's why the birth of a sibling, or in your case, a cousin, a niece, can be so traumatic. That's what we're doing with the virtual reality, where we are showing the trauma when you're dethroned or replaced by someone else. So every single time that the boyfriend doesn't tell her she's pretty, she's back to her and Gabby wins. El pobre hombre. Le va a buscar una bronca, she's gonna fight with that boyfriend, and it has nothing to do with the boyfriend. And she'll come to dad, fight with my boyfriend. Nothing to do with the boyfriend. It has to do with the fact that she was replaced, and the boyfriend doesn't know that she was replaced and doesn't tell her she's pretty. Get dilemma. Our job as a therapist is to understand that it has nothing to do with the boyfriend not telling her she's pretty.
Does Gabby live with you?
no. But it's very, I don't know how to explain it. It's funny because me and her are very, very, very close. Like, I don't know if it was, I feel sometimes, because I have 2, I have my niece and I have my nephew. But yo tengo más cosas con ella. I don't know if it's guilt that I feel of how much I used to hate her, because I'm not gonna lie, I used to hate her.
Of course,
And
and
then-
that's healthy to recognize.
And then it's like this guilt that I live with, that I have to love her, and that I have to be a better aunt, that I want to show her that I'm a better aunt.
And that's all your own trauma. Y la chiquita ni se ha enterado.
Oh no, she knows.
It's all your trauma. It's you. I have to be better. Forget the aunt. I have to be better because you were replaced by her. So what you're constantly telling yourself is, I have to be better, fill in the blank. And for you, better oftentimes has to do with looks.
So I have a question. When you say that your fear of your boyfriend replacing you with a more prettier one, what if he replaced it with an ugly one? How would that make you feel?
I sometimes
Would that be like, I don't care if she's ugly?
It's not,
you know,
it's
social
not,
media, like,
guys,
that
guys,
agree.
it has nothing to do with the fact if the girl is prettier or not.
That would make
It
me
has
feel a
to do
little
with
bit
the
better.
fact that she's
But
replaced.
it will break my head, like, why?
It has to be the fact that she's replaced. The key word is replaced.
When she was replaced by her niece.
And she just said it. She just said it. By answering the question, she said it. She's like, you know, it would be a little better because she was ugly, but it would still hurt. So it's not.
Of course, and she would
everything is
wonder
not
why.
mixed.
Can I ask you a question, speaking of replace?
Yes.
Did you ever do any school activities, soccer, cheerleading?
I was a dancer.
Okay, why did you ask the question? What was the hypothesis?
Because my hypothesis was she kept saying replace, replace, replace. And I know, for example, when, especially in the teenage years, middle school, high school, elementary, I know, kids are doing activities, whether it's the band, soccer, cheerleading, for example, and let's say there's another kid that comes, they might outtake your shine, you lose the #1 soccer goal player, whatever, and then you get dethroned, and then someone else takes that spot.
Okay, so you asked her the question and she tells you that she was a dancer.
Mhm.
What do you do with the information?
Being that I was a cheerleader, I know how sometimes, if, for example, other girls, sometimes, the coaches, sometimes I have favoritism. And when you least expect it, if they have a new girl on the team, they'll start to, favor that girl. And let's say you're in the front, you're the leading role, they'll tell you, scoot over a little bit so that she could catch on, but realistically, they want her to have that spot. And at first you're thinking, okay, it's
What is the
temporary.
therapist doing right now? And this
Going
happens
back.
in therapy, and it's
does?
super important that you recognize it.
Is it
That's
a good thing?
transference. Her story, her trauma, has just reminded the therapist of something in her own life. When I was a cheerleader and this happened to me,
Could that be?
that question had no relevance. Who cares if she was a dancer? She just wanted to know, you're a dancer. She didn't go anywhere with it and ask any questions. She wanted to confirm, and now it's in her head what happened to her.
Is that also projecting?
Yes. But it can, okay, but this is important. When something comes up, for a few reasons it's important. When something comes up when you're counseling a client that triggers some trauma in you, because it is, first of all, we're mirroring with the client. So we already see the mirroring. Second of all, that means there's something there that you need to work on.
But I didn't get replaced. It's not about me. Well, it
You
sounds
just
like
said that you got replaced.
No, not me. I said majority of times when you're on the cheerleading squad, for example.
But you said that happened to me.
Well, not physically with me. I was in the second row anyway. I was not in the first row.
Okay, but wait, let me just finish my thought. Let me finish that and then we'll see why she brought it up, because there's a reason she asked the
For
question.
the word replaced.
Okay, but give me a second. So the therapist has to then do his or her own work
Okay.
as to what that's bringing up in them. And if the story is relevant,
Okay.
if it's going to help your client have an aha moment, then you share it.
Not an aha moment. More like a little, not a seed, a cranberry.
Okay, you want to plant a cranberry.
Cranberry.
I mean, it
If
kind
you
of does.
think
make
it's
sense.
going to impart some wisdom,
Aha.
then you share it.
She said,
Aha.
That's when you
Keyword.
share personal
It does.
information in a session. That's how you get close. Part of rapport building with a client is letting the client know that you're just as vulnerable as they are. This was a very big lesson for me to learn. I was an ego fucking maniac. I was a narcissist. I was like, woo, I'm so far removed. I'm here and you're the peon. I mean, I have changed so much in 10 years
That's a Cuban.
Yeah.
because I grew up.
Step on you.
I grew up in that environment, and so before I realized that I had become that, I was like, damn, when I realized it, I shifted. So part of the way of building the rapport with the client is having them know that you're just as vulnerable, that you're a human being, that things happen to you too. So with my client this morning, I shared something.
Okay.
That puts us on the same page. Subconsciously, that client is like, oh, this person isn't judging me. This person understands what I've been through. I really understand what Paula's been through because I was dethroned by my brother. I get her 120%. I was that person. Now I'm completely different. But I had to be the man, so much so that I lost custody, that I paid child support. I mean, talk about needing to encompass the male energy, but it didn't serve me anymore. That's where therapy helped me. It didn't serve me anymore. I was able to let go of it. Now I embrace my feminine. But I get her. So that would be a place where I can share with the client, oh, I get you, I've been there. But I want to know why, if it didn't happen to you, why you asked the question. I see your hypothesis, but now you have the information that she's a dancer. What are you going to do with it?
What I said, aha, real quick, that's because, didn't you say just now, did you say?
That it makes sense.
No, before that, I asked it again. Have you played any
I'm
sports?
a dancer. I was a dancer.
Okay, and then you said something before I said we all both forgot our answers.
She said she was a dancer. I want to know what you want to do with that information. You have a theory.
Yeah.
I want to hear your theory. It's a good one.
I don't know why, because once, like, she kept saying replace, like, besides, of course, beauty, every time she said something, I would mostly hear replace somewhere in that sentence.
Right? That's great listening.
Yeah.
She did. She
So
said it
I
a ton of
asked her,
times.
so more or less, it wasn't for the aha moment. I asked the question to see, if you're saying the word, do you have an example or scenario that makes you want to use the word? So I asked her, for example, did you do an activity? She said dancer. So I would have assumed, dancing, a girl took her spot or something. But more or less
Okay,
it was
then
an aha
ask
moment.
Yeah.
about that.
I will not ask about that.
No, ask about it. You have a
Remember, you're
hypothesis.
my mirrors if I ask
You
her.
have a hypothesis, and it's a good one.
Mhm.
But I also want to see your train of thought of where you're going to go with this. Do you not know that she was replaced by her niece? You may not know that immediately. We just happen to know that because we started with that this morning.
Yeah.
But you may not know that in the first 10, 15, 20 minutes, 3 sessions with a client. That may never come up, but you were astute enough to pick up the word replace. So you know that she's been replaced somewhere, and you may not know about Gabby.
Mhm.
So you can say, you asked her, have you ever been involved in an activity? And she says she's dancing. What do you want to do with that information now?
I could probably ask one more question, but I won't make it the main focus because more or less there's a bigger picture. If I ask the question, it could give me somewhat of an idea of clue where am I heading, but it's not the main priority for dancing. That's not the problem here.
Okay, let's backtrack. Let's just pretend the client says, I had this huge fight with my boyfriend. It's her second, third session. And you're like, oh, how are you doing, Shayla? How was your week? Oh, I'm so pissed. I had a huge fight with my boyfriend. I always want him to tell me I'm pretty, and he doesn't tell me I'm pretty. This is as superficial as sessions happen. I go deep with you guys because I tell you about stuff that I work with my clients. But sessions start out just like that. Oh, I had a fight with my boyfriend. It seems like the most insignificant thing, but we know everything is significant, okay? The behaviors that we're doing are telling us about deeper, worth, childhood traumas that we have. People are not behaving and fucking up their life because they want to fuck up their life. There's something unresolved. So she could come in second, third week. I got into a fight with my boyfriend. Okay, tell me about it. Well, I told him that I'm so ugly and he doesn't understand. And you know what I want is for him to say that I'm pretty, what she said a little while ago.
Okay.
Granted, this is our session. You have an idea, or you hear the word replace, and you have an idea that maybe someone replaced her. That's your hypothesis. Because of the way that I am, I jump right into childhood. But you may not want to do that. You might want to backtrack slowly. So now you find out that she's a dancer. What are you going to do with that information? There's more questioning that has to happen, or you're going to share with the client a movie, something that happened to you. Sometimes this happened to my cousin when she was a cheerleader, however you want to give the information, where people feel replaced. Did that ever happen to you? Or I heard you say the word replace. Is there an instance when in your dancing career you were replaced by another dancer? Now you're planting the seeds. Now you're getting her to think that eventually, hopefully, she's going to tell you about Gabby. But asking about the dancing, what do you want to do with that? Keep going with it.
Thank you, Mira. Let's take it back. Alrighty. How did you say
But
that?
when it comes to dancing, it was a little bit complicated, to be honest, because it was different. For me, dancing, it was like the one place that I felt sure about myself. That I knew, for me, I might have not been the best dancer, but for me, I was the best dancer.
Okay, we have a very good, remember the word incongruence. She says that beauty is her self-worth. She now has just given you a whole other understanding where she knows she's amazing as a dancer. Incongruent, she's saying two different things. When you find an incongruence, there's a place for change. But what?
But replacing always comes in, because I would always, I would spend nights practicing and practicing because I had to be the best and I always had to be in front, but there would always be this new girl that would be better than me, and then she would replace me, and it would always happen.
So how did you overcome that?
I gave up.
Okay, well, we don't want to encourage the quitting, but what I want to know is, when you were talking about dancing and you lit up and you validated that you were the best.
Yeah, you said that's the one place you felt, yeah.
But then the way you said, then there was a bitch that came.
Because you started off with so much, you started off at
Yeah,
100
you started-
confidence,
oh,
like boosted
yeah.
ego, then you
Yes.
just slapped it all down. I was about to be
What
smiling.
what gave you such confidence in dancing? We've already established that practicing,
Yeah.
because she said that.
Mhm.
What gave you that confidence that you were the best in dancing?
Because I loved it, I put a lot of work into it.
That's the answer, people. She put effort into it. You can't put effort, sorry for you makeup girls, into being beautiful. Yes, there are things you can do, but beauty is beauty. The incongruence here is the only way for her to outbid Gabby is when she puts effort into something. And your job as a therapist is to get this client to find something that they love so much that they're gonna actually put effort into it. Do you put an effort into anything in your life right now?
Everything.
Everything? Tell us.
Like, my mom and everybody always says, oh, you're not gonna be anybody. Gabby's gonna be a doctor. Gabby's gonna do this, and you're gonna leave school, you're not. Sometimes I can't really sleep because I'm having insomnia. And my mom always says, no, no vas a ir a la escuela, vas a dejar la escuela. I'm gonna go to school. I'm dying, but I'm gonna go to school. I have to do it. I want to do it. I have to be somebody. Work. I always put effort in everything. Like in my relationship, no matter what, I always try to do my best and put the most in.
Okay, so let's just set the relationship aside for a moment because it's involving another person. I want to know about you. Where do you spend your energy and your effort for Shayla?
It could be something small, like you
School,
wake
for
up
example.
early, do your makeup. That's effort.
Yeah.
Right there is effort. Something that I don't do. Because it's like, fuck it, I'm not waking up early to do my makeup. But you're making that effort for you. Not for anybody else, but for you. Because you're not coming in early to do my makeup or do somebody else's makeup. You're getting up early for you to do your makeup, to do your hair. Look at your hair. Look how pretty your hair is.
Eyebrows on fleek, but yeah. Might as well do it right now.
It could be the most insignificant little thing, but that's an effort that you're actually working and making it happen for you, not for anybody else?
Well, yeah. I do wake up every morning and do my makeup and show up to school, even if I'm not the smartest one. I have trouble understanding sometimes with homeworks and stuff like that, but I get up in the morning and I show up and I want to be there. Like, I don't know how to explain it.
Do you ever heard the quote, showing up is 90%
Oh, yeah,
or something like that?
It's
Yeah.
90%.
Showing up is 90% of the work. And you're saying that you show up. You get up, you do your makeup, you come to school, despite you being maybe not the most intelligent, that's your opinion. You show up. This is where you can work with a client and change her entire self-worth, her entire view, is by just sharing like a quote like that. Showing up is 90% of the fucking effort, people. And you do it. You're here religiously, you're here early.
And she just said it, sometimes she doesn't sleep and she feels like shit and she still comes. And you don't come in like dragging your feet, you come because you want to be here, because you're making that effort for you, for your future, to get smarter, to, you know.
And you're not quitting.
Yeah.
So you build the rapport with the client and you're validating the client and you're letting the client know that she's worthy. The therapeutic relationship is like a parental relationship, a good parental relationship. All you guys have such shitty parental relationships, you don't even know what a good parental relationship is.
I'm like, really?
A typical parental relationship, what we would like, would be to nurture, would be to validate, would be to be non-judgmental, supportive. Doesn't mean that you don't tell your kid, oye, do what you have to do, but with love, y cariño, and all that.
And then
So now we're letting her know that she's worth it. We're letting her know what a good job she's doing. We're letting her know that looks aren't everything, that she does put effort into something. And then the client leaves with, oh, wow, I never saw myself in that light before. And that's how things start to change. And that's all true. We're not making this up. This is what we see in you. But this is the exchange between the client and the therapist. And that's why the safest space should be the relationship with the therapist. If you don't feel safe with your therapist, fucking run.
Yeah.
Run. Egomaniac, narcissist, run. I don't know how clients stayed during my entire transformation. I don't get it. It doesn't mean that I didn't impart good information. It doesn't mean that I didn't love them, but because I was judgmental with myself. I was ridiculously judgmental. I was horrible. Now I am like a completely different professional. And that's the thing. Getting clients to recognize the beauty, not necessarily physical beauty, that they have that is of worth, even if there's a Gabby in the world.
It just hurts that my mom or everybody else in my family doesn't see like the effort that I'm doing.
Okay, that's a really good point, and you're gonna come across this with clients a lot. The woman that I had this morning, we were talking about that. She wanted her daughters to recognize how good she was being and how well behaved she was being. She wanted the applause. This isn't gonna come overnight. We want validation from other people. We want other people to let us know that we're good looking, that we're smart, that we're appropriate, all of those things, because we're humans and we're social creatures. But ultimately, self-worth comes from believing what you believe about yourself. So this isn't gonna be in one session that I'm gonna get you magic wand to say, oh, I don't care about what my parents and everybody else thinks.
And I do say that, and
But it's
I
bullshit.
show her that I don't
It's
care what
bullshit.
she says. But of course, it
And
does.
when you have a client that says, I don't really care what anyone, they care so much,
Yeah.
this idea that we don't care is a lie. So, one of the things that we can do with Shayla in therapy is move her in a direction where what other people think matters less and less and less, proportionately with how she feels about herself. So the more she realizes that what she's doing is for her, benefits her, the more that other person or other people are going to matter. That's going to increase your self-worth based on you. And so I was talking to this woman about that. I'm like, unfortunately, you're going to have to behave regardless of what your daughters think of you. That's just the reality of it. And so after we hung up, she sent me a message, and she's like, you know what, I'm going to do this regardless of what the girls ask or, say. So we get the client to move in the direction where they stop asking for permission, where they stop asking for others to validate them, where they're enough for themselves. And if you're a good therapist, the relationship between therapist and client should satisfy that. I should be enough that the client feels, oh, my therapist, they're not thinking therapist, they're thinking mommy and daddy. Okay, so this is very subconscious. My therapist approves of me. My therapist accepts me. My therapist sees what effort I'm putting into school and everything else. That all the other people start to matter less. That's the beauty of the therapeutic relationship. It should be like a healthy parent. And most people, 99.999 to not say 100, don't have a healthy relationship with their parents. Why? Because of the story of conception. Because your parents are flawed, and you're flawed. And nobody loves anyone unconditionally. I had a client on Saturday, and I saw that there was some family stuff going on. And I said, do you mind if I ask you about some childhood stuff? And she's like, yeah. I said, how was your childhood? Normal. What do you think a normal childhood is like? Throw it out there.
Free.
What?
Free. Stress-free.
Stress-free, okay. What else? What's a normal
Allowed
childhood?
to do whatever the fuck
She's allowed to do whatever she wants,
As she pleases.
as she pleases. What else is a normal childhood?
There is no anger.
No anger.
Always
What?
happy.
That's not what it sounds to me.
That's fancy.
Normal.
That's
It means
fancy.
you gotta do what your parents tell you to do. You can't,
Okay,
you gotta
your
do your
parents.
homework.
Okay. Does it include having an alcoholic father? Does it include having an uncle that sexually abuses you? Does it include having a mother that's not around?
No.
But yet she said my childhood was normal. So when someone tells you, going back to what Mr. Pachi was saying earlier, you better ask that person to define what the fuck they're talking about. Because normal for you ain't normal for me. And I said, really, normal? And she had to chuckle. She had to laugh because she realized how ridiculous it was for her to describe her childhood as normal. Uncle abusing her, father drunk, she was the adult child taking care of everybody in the home. But that was normal for her because we need to normalize our dysfunction. All of you are fucked up. All of us are fucked up. We must normalize our dysfunction so that we can get up in the morning, look at ourselves in the mirror, and move on with our life. If not, we would be dead on the floor. If every morning she consciously woke up and said, I had a fucked up childhood, and my mother this, and my father that, and my uncle that, would she get out of bed? No. So we all normalize our dysfunction, which we all have, in order to just get up and try to do something with our life. In therapy, you pull apart the dysfunction. So your therapist is like a loving parent that, yes, validates and loves you, but at the same time, te dice, oye, pero, wait a minute. You're blowing up your life, guy. Like, it's a healthy parental relationship. Mother has more to do with patience and permission, and dad has more to do with like structure and stability and rules. So your therapist, as you're all in training to be, should represent that in the relationship. You should give the permission, you should give the love, you should give the validation, but then you should also give the structure, you should also give the rules, you should also make clients, well, really, is that healthy for you? I have a couple tomorrow. Come in.
Oh my God.
Is that Elizabeth?
Yeah.
He has a baby.
Can I ask a question?
Of course.
No, I'm carrying this around. It's making me feel better about leaving my baby
I just
at
said,
home.
is that
I have
Elizabeth?
a 6-month-old, and everybody's criticizing
I'm
me.
not. I
Well,
thought it was her.
This is normal, right?
Symbolically, it makes perfect
Okay,
sense.
thank you.
Put some red hair on it.
Yeah, I have baby clothes in the car.
Pretty
Go
good.
ahead, go
Oh
ahead.
my God.
Validate the client's crazy? No. But also make the client aware of where they're wrong, but in a very loving, supportive way. So this woman today, she was going off the deep end. And I said, you know what? You have a voice. You need to voice the fact that this woman didn't leave you any money.